Hello, everybody. This is episode 5 of the Lemon Bar Media Podcast. This is going to be a fun episode. I got 2 amazing guests, amazing people here with me. My name is Stephen Hunt, and episode 5. Our guests today is Matt and Stephanie Askew. You going to say anything?
Hello.
Hello. Well, the first question I like to ask our guests is, how's your week? Give us a little life update. Or just tell us about your summer. How about that?
It's been busy. We've enjoyed a few vacations. We're flying to San Antonio on Saturday to stay for 4 nights to enjoy some good Mexican food, the San Antonio River Walk. We're flying back next Wednesday, and it's been a tough week. Trying to get as much work pulled into this week as I can. So it's been challenging.
Busy week, just getting ready for vacation.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. Well, San Antonio will be fun, right? Who all's going with you?
Just the 2 of us.
Very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun. When's the last time you guys have had a vacation, just you two?
We actually do it as much as we can. So last time we went somewhere just the 2 of us, I think, was Chicago.
Fort Lauderdale.
No.
Yeah, we flew to Miami, flew to Fort Lauderdale, drove to Miami in February.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yes, we flew to Chicago the day after Christmas and stayed for 4 nights, and it's a great city.
Yeah, Chicago was
So
awesome.
how many times a year would you say? Like once or twice?
3, maybe 4.
That's great. That's goals right there.
I know, it's awesome.
We've had a few weekend getaways, like to Asheville, North Carolina. We've also went to Nashville. You know, we have this upcoming Tennessee Vol football season to look forward to. Day trips.
Guys, we're going to talk about Tennessee football a little bit. It's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. That's great. So, out of 50 states, which ones have you been to? Like a lot of them? It sounds like you've been to maybe just a dozen.
We're trying to go to all the major cities.
Maybe a dozen or so?
Maybe a dozen. I've been to Montana and Wyoming, Idaho, Texas, South Carolina, all the southern states. I've been up the East Coast to Pennsylvania, Maryland, all those states. But
not with me.
Not with Stephanie. We enjoy visiting the big cities. We've been to Boston, Chicago, Miami.
I feel like I can't hear him.
Okay.
So, big cities are fun trips. We're going to Philadelphia in September. So really
Philadelphia. I did an inner city mission trip there one time.
Interesting.
It's a nice little area. It's got some rough spots, but
sure,
it's a pretty cool deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So you're working on you do construction.
I do.
You're doing construction, chipping away at big projects before vacation. I work with Stephanie. She calls me her assistant, but
because
I'm far from that. I'm on my own path.
The path of being my assistant. You're a great assistant.
Well, thank you. But yeah, we're just we work for Calvary Chapel, Chattanooga. We're preparing for the weekend and side events. So yeah, I kind of understand what she does during the week, but that is very cool. Thank you guys for just a little life update, little introduction. Is there anything else you might want to add just for, the record?
No.
It's great. All right.
We're just enjoying life. It's very full. We have lots of children.
Yes.
So we stay very busy.
They're awesome little munchkins, you guys. They're always fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the second question that I'd like to just ask before we talk about Tennessee football a little bit, and the book that you recommended to me and I read. Um, what has the good Lord? I say good Lord, but what has Jesus done in your guys' life the last year?
Ooh, last year, huh?
Yeah. You can be shallow, you can go deep. You can be like, "Hey, I, you know, I prayed to the Lord for strength to, you know, Matt, I prayed to the Lord to, get jacked and
Look at him
results."
now.
Yeah. There's results in a year.
Oh man, I think a lot of times my thoughtless monotone prayer is just for the Lord to make me a better man, and He does that through very stressful situations from work, family. So when I'm being stretched, I have to remind myself that I asked for this. So I'm learning a lot of. I have experienced some very difficult working situations that I've been able to calmly walk through. Um, we've had some interesting family stuff too. So, but it's good, man. We have um, four wonderful children at home that are really, really, really great kids. So, when we are troubled with them at times, I have to remind myself that this is this is the best of parenting problems. I mean, we're in the 90th percentile as far as
Yeah.
um, having the least trouble out of kids. So
I tell you what, every time I see them, they've all got a smile on their face, and that's a good thing. You
mhm.
know, they're always laughing and joking, and the
They're like good
boys are
kids.
pushing each other around, and
Yeah, it's
yeah,
healthy, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
healthy. I got two younger brothers, and so when I see them, it's a cool reminder. But
Mhm.
do you want to say anything? Maybe.
What has the Lord taught me? I think that, just being reminded that I don't have to get a pat on the back every 5 seconds, and that I'm just here to serve the Lord, and however that's supposed to be. This past weekend, it was just a really cool reminder of I prayed really hard that when I had to get a job, that I would get to work at the church, and that door opened up through Common Table, and then just being faithful there, getting to work here. So getting the opportunity to work here, and not that I have to work here. It was a good reminder. And then one thing that's really cool is, for the last since Matthew and I got married, a prayer of that my kids would open up, and that my daughter would really open up. He has a soft spot for my daughter, and she has a really hard time saying I love you to people. And within the last, I don't know, 4 weeks, she started to say I love you to Matt. So that was a really big, sweet thing, and sweet answer prayer.
Very cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
She had to brave herself to say it the first time, but after the first time, it's been very, very easy to say it again, and it's really changed our mine and hers relationship is getting a lot sweeter, and her telling me that she loves me and me telling her that I love her has helped me love the three boys more and better also. Like, I didn't see that, how that with me and her would affect this with the three of them, but it has. And because I can't exclude them. When I tell her I love her, I have to tell them too. So it's been helpful.
She was it was like a little girl crush. Like, when the first time you were going to tell a boy that you love
Mhm.
him, she was like, "I'm so nervous." Like, it was
Yeah.
a really, really
Yeah.
cute experience. It took her a long time. Like, she would say when he would leave, she'd be like, "Oh, why didn't I say it?" It was really cute.
Well, I commend you guys for not only opening up a little bit, but like just like you guys are your approach is like, yeah, it's been kind of challenging, and we've prayed for it, and you're talking about the results, which is really cool. Yeah, kudos to you guys.
Yeah, and then I just keep praying that my assistant would get better.
Yeah.
Mighty.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
Which
doing good
I
things.
am, like,
I know. You're moving up in the world.
Like exceedingly fast. Like
You're climbing that imaginary rope there, imaginary ladder to one assistant to being still an assistant. It's pretty great.
Anyhow, well, again, I want to thank you guys for opening up. That's a very detailed and honest answer. The next question I like to ask is, what are 2 to 3 moments in your guys' lives where you just knew that the Lord was like, you just knew his hand was on, your life in a situation? I've heard a little bit of both of your guys's, somewhat of your testimony, bits and pieces, but like, is there any specific story where like you just knew that the Lord was like, he had his hand on the situation, and you look back on it today and it's like, wow, like.
Sure, I have a couple of interesting moments. A couple of days after Halloween of 2018, there was a men's breakfast. I had been at the farm for a little more than 2 months, and after the men's breakfast, I rode in the back seat of a little bitty tiny car for an hour drive back to the farm, and we talked about many things, and the Lord shed light on a lot of things in men's lives to my mind and my heart that day, and I felt things changed. Things changed about how I thought about certain things, and the Lord, I believe in delivery, and the Lord delivered me like cut and dry, like these things are no longer part of your life. And I felt fully delivered from a few things that day. So I had a crush on Stephanie here for quite some time. I first met her sitting in the common table when it had just first been remodeled. I don't know if we here yet then.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, it had been open maybe just a few weeks, and this pretty young waitress came up and was taking my order, and I was like, whoa, who is that?
Hello.
It was the first time I had seen her, and
I was wearing a mask. You couldn't even see me.
Yeah, so told me who she was, and I was like, all right. So I carefully watched her for, wow, that was in August. So I watched her for 3 or 4 months, talked to a pastor about her in November, but then, so April, so she had been on my heart for 8 months. For 8 months, had been weighing me down. I was exhausted with
just stirring.
Oh man, I was so exhausted with this, and then, at right around the first of the year in January, I had organized a little outing with some friends to go shooting. We had some assault rifles and some pistols. We were all going to go have a shooting day, and leading up to that, I was like, okay, on this day, I'll find out if she likes me or not. So, we had some little small talks and stuff, and we went and had our shooting day, and with a group of friends, and sat and had dinner, and then I talked to a few days later, and was like, but I didn't get a clear answer of yes or no. I was like, oh man. So at this point, I was like, man, I'm wore out with my heart, like in my mind, trying to figure this woman out, like. But I was also very scared to go all in.
Yeah.
But to get to your question, I was went for a jog one morning. I was downtown Chattanooga, and the Lord very clearly spoke to me right in front of the courthouse, of all places, downtown Chattanooga. He said, "You're going to talk to this woman today," or he said that you're going to talk to this woman very, very soon, and this is what you're going to say. So I thought, okay, here it is. It's going to happen. And just so happened, I had scheduled a lunch with another friend at the common table, so I had to be here. So
I was not working at the common table at that point. Though.
no, she was.
I was working for Calvary.
She was doing food photography in the common table that day. So I walked in, and I was all chipper, like, "Hey, yeah, this is going to happen, right?" So
I love that.
I had my lunch, and here she comes. She comes to the common table, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, there she is." She had her camera and stuff, and she had her shirt on that it had Friends, but it was spelled Faith, like
Yeah.
Friends, the TV
Yeah.
show.
Yes, sir.
Anyways, so I had parked.
Plain as day. Just
Yeah, I had parked in the back of the church. So when I got done eating, I was hoping to run into her walking through the children's ministry hallway right there, but I didn't. I did not, and so I'm walking out the back door thinking, "Dang, this is not going to happen." And as I'm walking out the back door, she's walking with the camera out of the green through that little fence. I was like, "Here it is. It's going to happen." And I kind of walked past her and almost chickened out, but I stopped. I said, "Hey, Stephanie." She stopped. I said, "Hey, I think that you're really great, and I'd like to get to know you better." And
You said you want to go on a date, and I said no.
so
That's pretty much what happened.
yeah, she said no, but she said, "But I would like to. Let's do a group date."
great follow up.
Yeah,
That's
so it
follow-up.
really worked out, and all those, and I had never felt more in the Lord's will than at that moment. Like the Lord made it very clear, you're going to talk to this woman very soon, and these are the words that you're going to use. So I had in my mind what I was going to say to her. I just had to get it out of my mouth and be brave enough to look this beautiful woman in the face and say it to her. So it did work out. She gave me her phone number, and I got in my truck and called everybody I knew to tell them what had just transpired, and I was very proud.
Success.
I did.
Yeah.
I felt very good about it, and so those are two moments that just come to mind. So
Amazing. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I'm sure that it'll go really well just to
yeah.
how your approach, and I'm sure you've got a whole nother.
When Tennessee
Thought
beat
process.
Alabama last year at Neyland Stadium, I had never felt more in the Lord's will than at that moment. Also, just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Look, I finally picked up your audio because you were talking loud enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna take a little break. I'm gonna reset the camera,
Okay.
and then but we'll talk about some Tennessee and a little bit about
Okay.
a little more about what the Lord's done in your guys' lives. But yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm loving it. Alrighty, folks, we are back live. Took a little break, but this is gonna be a fun little segment. I'm gonna ask my guests about, the Tennessee Vols and why they support them, their background, and yeah, we're gonna hear what they have to say. It's gonna be fun. So my first question that I want to ask you is, when did you realize, both of you guys, when did you realize that you bled Tennessee Vols orange?
I'll have to say the 1985 Sugar Bowl. Tennessee was ranked number 8. Miami Hurricanes were the new up-and-coming team, and they had the nasty reputation of just being arrogant and cocky. And they were the heavy favorites in Tennessee. Nobody gave Tennessee a shot. The game was held in New Orleans on New Year's Day night. I was about 6 years old. my grandfather, my dad's father, was a big Tennessee Vols fan. And it was, kind of through our whole family, but mainly him. He was the big fan. And Tennessee won 35-7. The Miami Hurricanes, the captains of that team, very arrogantly refused to shake the hands of our players at the coin toss. So that was kind of where it started. And even when Tennessee was a huge underdog in that game, 60,000 Tennessee fans traveled the 10 hours from Knoxville to New Orleans to support their team, and heavily outweighed the Miami fans. They only had 8 or 10,000 fans there. So Tennessee won 35-7, and I just remember that being a huge deal in my community, my family, and it was widely talked about. I remember that being a big deal. That was my first big memory of any kind of Tennessee football.
Amazing. How old were you at that time?
I was
28.
6 years old.
Yeah. Oh, you were 6.
I was 6 years old. Yep.
Wow.
He's old.
Mm-hmm. So that was my first big.
That's amazing.
Big moment.
Early.
Yeah.
You had a recognition of your fandom early.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we discussed this question, you said there was 2. Do you want to talk about the second one, or do you want to come back to that?
Are you talking about the Alabama game?
Well, that, but you said there's 2 times, and I wasn't sure.
2 times?
That, like, when you really started to really like Tennessee football? I think that was it.
I'll say later, when I was about 21 or 22 years old, Tennessee, 9/11 had happened. And on the weekend of September the 11th, they canceled all the football games that weekend. So the Tennessee-Florida game had got pushed to the first weekend of December. So when the first weekend of December came, Tennessee and Florida were both ranked in the top 5, and the game was in Gainesville, Florida. And Tennessee, again, was a huge underdog in that game. And I remember sitting in my parents' living room floor with my 2-year-old son, Dalen, watching the game, and Tennessee won the game. It kind of rejuvenated my love for them. Like that moment really captured me, and
tough times, but there was victory.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
It revived my love for Tennessee.
I love it.
So.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those are 2 big games, but there was a third one that
Tennessee, Alabama. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It was a special moment. It's probably the biggest game in the history of Tennessee Vols football program. It is a moment that will likely never be recreated because of just the dominance that Alabama has put over the entire college football world. And Tennessee had been the laughingstock of the SEC for 15 years. And they had been through many bonehead coaches and had just been tortured by Alabama fans and their team. So, I don't think that beating them on their own home field in that moment will ever be able to, even if we lost to them for the next 40 years and then beat them again, I don't think that you could recreate that moment twice. It'd be like building the Egyptian pyramids 2 different times. So it only happened once, and we were there. So
yeah. I saw the photos. You guys were ecstatic. Yeah,
it was unbelievable. I remember 10 years ago in 2013 watching the kick 6, which is a famous play that happened at the end of the Auburn-Alabama football game where the guy missed the field goal.
Yes, that was a good one.
He ran the ball back 109 yards for the touchdown. And, the fans rushed the field. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to go to a game like that. I want to go to one of those when it's my team that comes out victorious, and this game did not disappoint.
Yes.
They tore down both goalposts, and there was at least 60,000 people on that field. I had never seen a fan celebration like that in my whole life. To hear my wife describe it, she said that it felt like you were at this really exciting football game that turned into like a New Year's Eve like celebration feeling.
That's great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool. Yeah, I watched that Auburn Alabama one live when he ran it back. Yeah, that was crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah.
I'm
That's when I think of great games and celebrations. That's the only game that comes to mind that I can compare this one to.
That's great. I love it. What about you? You?
When did I learn that I bleed orange?
Yes.
It was on October 8th, 2021, when I married somebody that bleeds orange. I did not realize how bad the addiction was of Matthew and Tennessee Vols, and someone should have warned me. Yeah, so I married into this. I am not an original. The Alabama game was it was something else.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got to experience that with Matthew, but I only bleed orange because I'm married to Matthew.
That's great. Congratulations, kind sir.
Thank you. Yeah, she supports me well in that.
Yeah, I like to wear the clothes and buy the t-shirts and earrings and stuff. Like I'm totally down with that stuff.
Yeah.
As I come, and I like to people watch.
Yeah.
Tennessee fans are very entertaining.
Yeah.
Yes, they have amnesia after every play. It's a lot of fun. They think that something is going to happen every time, and then they're very disappointed that it doesn't happen. Yeah, it's very entertaining to watch and to be a part of.
Best fans in the world.
Yes, they are.
No one compares.
They're pretty amazing and entertaining. It's really fun to watch grown men and women lose their minds over a game.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
You guys couldn't have described it better. That's super fun. Very cool. Yeah, I'm slowly adopting that into my life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not from the South, but from what I understand, it's growing up, I realized that football's a pretty big deal. So,
and Jesus was the first volunteer.
Mighty.
You like that?
I do like that.
Yes.
That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, I hear it all the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Jesus bleeds orange.
I
don't know. Is that wrong? Is that
Matthew would say that you are correct.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Have you ever seen the movie Fever Pitch?
Fever Pitch.
It has Drew Barrymore in it and Jimmy Fallon. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. When you watch it, you should just remember that Matthew is Jimmy Fallon, just with football. And somebody should have made me watch that movie before I married Matthew. Said, this is, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. This is it.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Anything else you want to add to your Tennessee football support and looking forward to the season?
I am looking forward to the season.
How many days are left?
5 weeks.
Yeah, about 5 or 6 weeks. First weekend of September, I think. No, they play in Nashville at the Titan Stadium the last Saturday of August.
That's really close.
It is really close.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, we can't wait.
Can't wait, yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you got a spare ticket, man, might tag along.
Yeah. Stay available.
To get the
Be
orange
flexible,
juice.
Because if somebody cancels on me, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask this first question, and then we'll check the time. But well, actually, let me introduce that book. So I'm in a season where I'm single. I'm a little more stable in my life. Had a little bit of a rough start to adulthood, but I'm in a spot now where it's on the horizon, right? A relationship, dating, you know. It's I don't know how far out, but I feel like it's closer than I would imagine, getting engaged and married and all that. So these amazing folks recognize that in my life, and they recommended a book. I forget I might
Engaged.
Single, dating, engaged, married. But as far as the author, Ben Stewart, he's a pastor from Washington D.C. in Passion. Correct? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't know if I just know that he's a part of Passion.
He was at the Lift conference, right? That you guys went to. Yeah, they bought Matt and Stephanie threw together a few dollars and they bought me this book, so that I could get a little bit of a holy Christian perspective on the season of life that I'm in, because I've never had really good perspective before, in years past. So after reading this book, they agreed to sit down and talk with me about the book and just, and talk about our thoughts on it. So, yeah, single, dating, engaged, married. Got a couple questions I'm going to talk about, but also ask them. So, I also forgot my notes for the book. I had like a super organized thing, but I jotted down some notes. In the book, it talks about singleness being a gift, because you can devote time to the Lord. You can work on yourself. You have free time to, enjoy the hobbies. You just have a freedom that is a gift from the Lord. And what was your guys' kind of experience? I know it's like, it's been a little while, but what was your guys' experience and how did you navigate? Like, was there ever a time where you were like, man, like this singleness, it is a gift at that time and you were content with being single, but then there was like, what was like you juggling with, man, I kind of want to date, but I enjoy being single. Like, I like this freedom, but might be time. Like, what would you guys not only give myself but the audience, if they're in a similar season, what advice would you give for being single and navigating it being a gift?
Being single is a time to enjoy being single and enjoy the singleness of life in the way that you have to think. There are certain things that I can do right now that I will not be able to do when I get married, but there's a lot to look forward to in marriage at the same time. But even though that it can be looked at as an idle time that you're waiting on the Lord to bring your wife to you. But I would say that it's a time to be putting in some work, because God created singleness for a purpose, to know Him and to learn to know Him, and there's a lot of preparedness in that singleness. So
I know that my first marriage, I got married at 19. So, but before that, I was able to, I could go do whatever I wanted to do as far as serve whenever I wanted to serve. I didn't have to ask anybody. The same thing when after, once I got divorced and I was by myself, I still had 4 kids. So even though I wasn't married, I still had responsibilities that I didn't get to go do whatever I want to do. But I did get to, I didn't have my kids on Thursday night, so I got to serve at Icon. There was other things that that I don't get to do now because I have a family and I'm with Matthew. And so part of being single is, it's developing that one-on-one relationship with the Lord, because once you have, when it was just me and the Lord, even when my kids would go to bed, that would be my my in-depth time. Like I would wake up in the morning and do my devotions, but I would be able to just like sit and really just listen to what the Lord has to say before I went to bed. And now, I have somebody snoring next to me, so I really don't get that. No, he doesn't snore actually. But other things fill that. You want to go out to dinner with them. You want to, when you're dating, you want to go do those things. You're investing in that relationship, and you're not so focused on developing the relationship with the Lord. But when it's just you, like you're like, if your number one relationship is learning what the Lord wants and who God wants you to prepare you for, that will prepare you for that person. And if Matthew hadn't had that time of singleness from when he graduated Renew to now, like we probably would have a lot of issues, and we wouldn't have been able to kind of walk our dating life a little bit quicker, because God would have had a lot to still deal with one-on-one with Matthew, and even with me, if I wouldn't have just laid it all at the floor and really poured into that relationship.
That is beautiful. The word that you used was preparedness, and you're kind of describing that. Like you guys, you were on a winning streak. You were killing it. Where were you working at the time?
When I got married.
Yeah, like when the Lord kind of brought you together, like you said.
I've been at RP Homes now for.
Okay, so you had a great job. You had a career that you were working on.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie was, a server, killing it.
I was working for Calvary by the time we met, but yes.
Yeah, but from what I understand, you were working hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll put this in there, but told me he was very impressed with your hard work at the common table, and so that's why he said, "Hey, we need her to be on the creative team." Like,
right. I didn't know anything about creative except I knew how to do makeup
and photos a little bit.
I knew how to take but not really.
But yeah, so it's one of those things where like you guys were, life might have been beating you up a little bit, and you were probably like, "Where am I at?" But God brought you together in the best case scenario of, for some reason it popped in my head like you guys intersected, like in a graph, the equilibrium, or you like intersect, like you guys were both like going up, and you finally like met at a perfect time. So preparedness and your best, what would you say, your best season or your best?
I think all the seasons have its best, but the best thing, it's the best time to get to know the Lord, and the best time for you to know who you are in the Lord. Is that what you're saying?
But no, it'd be as far as like you had just gotten a job here. Matt was working, graduated Renew, killing it. You're killing it. Like, what would you describe that? Like, you guys are both killing it at life, and you guys met at that time. What would you call that? Like best, I want to say best case scenario, or best.
Yeah, that was definitely
stability. So you guys both had really good stability, and you met, and God brought it together when you guys were stable. Is that what you would say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt stable myself, and I felt like Stephanie was very stable. Stability is a good word to use there.
It took me a minute, but
I would say that consistency breeds stability.
That's a Renew saying.
That's
you should get that one tattooed.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not really into the
I've found all my notes on that book right here. So.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah,
amazing!
There's some good stuff in here, man.
Fabulous.
It's lovely.
Lovely. Do you want to tell them why we use that word?
Because Stephen likes it.
Lovely.
The word lovely.
Likes fabulous.
The word lovely. Well, fabulous too.
But he's trying to start recreate.
How about marvelous?
That takes a lot of effort to say.
Marvelous better than fabulous.
Marvelous.
I mean, I can't say marvelous without like going to the deepest part of my like gut, like
fabulous.
it
describes
is.
Pretty, and marvelous describes an impressiveness, I would say.
Yeah. That was deep.
Is that good?
That is good.
Okay.
That was deep.
I'm gonna let that one soak in right
Okay.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you found some notes. We're gonna cut again. I think we might be close to the time, but
Okay.
It's great. It's a great feeling.
segment 2 complete. In the book, Single, Dating, Engaged, Married, once again, if 6 months from today you can't get married, right? If you can't say yes to that question, you shouldn't date. So I was asking you guys, what is your thoughts on that? Is that realistic? And how can you be? What are some guidelines that you think might be needed to say yes to that question?
So personally, I think that is a good question. That it's not a hard like, hey, if I can do 6 months, that means in 6 months now I can start dating, and in 6 months I'll be married. I think that it is there's a lot of benefits of that, of like, okay, am I mature enough? Do I have the right finances? It keeps you in check to move in those orders. But also, depending on your age, it can also help you stay pure. So like, if you're going to fall in love with somebody, you're going to want to try to stay pure, to get married. And if you try to do 4 years of trying to stay pure with somebody, that's just not how God intended life to be. So, do people do it? Sure, people say they do it, but that's a really long time to not do, the good stuff of being in a relationship. So I think that, but if I did not date Matthew with an expectation of getting married in 6 months, it was really fast. But if this person is stable, has done all the right things, and they also can say, hey, in 6 months I could be married. Like I am right with the Lord. I have the finances. I have whatever it is that God has called that person to.
Do you think if you asked that question, that would be a little pressure?
Yes.
So
if he said, hey, in 6 months you want to get married, I would have said, bye. Bye, buddy. No.
Bye,
No.
bucko.
But if the Lord is leading, then God knows. God knew. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That, that was our timeline. And everybody's journey is going to be different. Sometimes people might think, yeah, I'm ready. In 6 months, I could totally do that. In a year, I could totally do that. But then you meet somebody, and when you have a relationship, there's things that you might not even know about yourself until you enter a relationship. Like, wow, I really needed to work on that. And so either this relationship has to end for a season, or it's going to take longer than 6 months because we need to work on these things that I didn't even know were there before.
Yes. That's really cool. What did you say just a moment ago? Like
both people should be, is that what you were talking about? Both people need to be about this in the same.
Oh, yeah. So you said that you might get in a relationship and stuff might surface that you didn't realize you kind of needed to work on, which that's a whole nother topic, I feel like. But
you're right. He's handsome. He's handsome.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a very cool perspective that you guys put that in. For you guys, there was a 6-month thing, and for some people, you said that might work. But
I mean, you have to remember there was 6 months, but there was almost 10 months before that where he had been praying and praying and praying and praying. And I was praying and praying and praying, but not specifically that I knew for this man.
So all in all, to kind of just wrap this question up, prayer is a big deal to be ready. God, prepare me, prepare my heart, prepare whoever's heart I'm going to meet. Second is you really have to rely on the Lord, like you said, Matt. And then your kind of approach was similar, but you said don't expect that.
Yeah.
Don't like have that set time frame, but once you're in there, it kind of expect for it to.
I mean, you want to always date with the intention of marriage, because if you're just dating to date, that's just to break up.
Yeah.
But if you're dating with the intention of being married, then the appropriate questions will arise. You know, because I had already been married for 13 years prior, and he was older, we already knew, like we're not just here to mess around. Like, we're not just here to date. We're here to go in this direction. And again, that was, to me, like, that was extremely quick. But the hard questions. I mean, our first alone date was me asking all the extremely personal, I can't even say that word. Personable questions.
You broke all the rules on the first date.
Right, because he had already had the intention of, like, I want to marry this girl. And I was like, really? Well, I just got out of a really hard relationship, so it is kind of a
case-by-case scenario. Absolutely. For sure. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever first date, like, I don't know if because receiving those questions or asking them, that'd be.
Depends on who, like, if it wasn't the first time we had met. You know, it wasn't like, hey, I just saw you at church and I think that we should go out on a date. It was like he knew a lot of my family. Like, he was close with my brother-in-laws. He was close with his sister. Was in my small group for 2 years. Like, there was people in our lives that we knew. So he had asked a lot about me. When people said, "Did you want to date Matthew Askew?" I originally said no. I don't want to date a new dude. So that's what I didn't want. And then the Lord continued to work and work and work as he was praying.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Now I got a good one.
A good one.
He's a good one. I got a good one.
Well, that question is definitely, there's a lot of variables, but that is a very good, honest answer from both you guys. Thank you. The third question in the book that I want to touch on is, so this is after you guys were married. This is like we'll just call it the first couple months of you guys being married. Mm. Was there any challenges like, wow, I'm not single anymore. I need to give this up, or I need to adjust this way of life?
I think Matthew would be the perfect one to answer this question, because I had been married a long time and I had 4 kids, so I wasn't really single.
But still, I'm sure maybe you had some challenges that in the first little bit, it's like, whoa, I'm married. I kind of need to.
I think just keeping a realistic mindset of, hey, I'm marrying this woman. I have to do all these things to be a good husband. These are the things that she's expecting from me, and these are the things that I have to walk out.
Meeting expectations,
correct.
So was that a little bit of a juggle, maybe? I mean, you don't have to go into big detail, but
it was not an extreme.
He also married a professional wife. That was a professional wife. It wasn't an
extreme transformation.
I say some really prideful things that make people jaws drop.
I knew that we would have.
Like, one time I said, I'm light years of people my age. I'm light years ahead. Like, that's. Like, that one.
He's calling me prideful.
That one's. No, what I'm saying is, it's stuff like that makes your mind go like, wow. Like, okay.
Maybe it's true, though. I'm just kidding. Keep going.
I think that I certainly expected tough situations and tough challenges. Um, but the challenges are not coming from my wife. They're coming from the situations that we navigate together. So, um, we certainly have disagreements at times, and we have to come back to those disagreements later in the day. And timing of challenges and problems can also be tough. I would say that the pridefulness of a husband and a wife can certainly seduce those emotions to cloud reason and judgment in things. So maybe 10 o'clock in the morning is not a good time to try to talk about something. Maybe
Or 6 o'clock in the morning, Matthew.
So I think that the timing of certain resolve can be important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the communication is huge. Like when I say things to her, she has to tell me, this is what you said, but this is what I heard. So, and I have to understand, wow, maybe the way I said this made her feel this kind of way. So, and those are great things. Like those were touchy little conversations to have at first, but they're not as touchy anymore. They're very, very helpful. Like, okay, so when I say this way, this makes my wife feel this way.
So communication and chemistry took a little bit of, like, you had to get a little bit of a pattern going on.
I guess a little bit, but I think very early on, even in our dating, because we had to be so communicative of like, hey, this is my past. These are things that can trigger me. This is my past, that we had to communicate early on pretty well. But I think there's, life will just throw you. Early on, we didn't have him working a certain job, me working a certain job, me having conversations with the kids, me asking him something that he's feeling like he needs to answer right away. And so he's feeling the pressure because he's in the workflow. And then that's when the miscommunication can happen. And then we both can get caught up in our feelings and what we're having to say. I do think that one of the biggest things for either one of us, but I would say more for Matthew is, financially, he went from being completely by himself to not just marrying me, but coming into a family of 5. And, the Matthew right on was like, we are one, our finances are one, and everything that, it's not just me paying for me and the kids, it's our finances coming together and one. And he has never said like, that's my money, you can't have that for the kids or whatever. It's been but I don't know if that was finances ever like going from just having to worry about yourself to now taking care of a family. Was that hard?
No.
So the word that just pops in my head is like teamwork.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, I didn't think of it that way. That's her salary is an added income to mine. So the two of those, so I gained money to live
That's
life
why you
on,
married me,
to play with. So there's
making fun of me.
But the Lord has blessed me mightily in my job, my salary, my finances.
He has provided.
He has provided beyond measures with money.
And a lot of that is a testimony of when you do it right on the single dating side, the blessing in the marriage. Like both of us we would save. We were very cautious of that, and so it wasn't like there's times where one person's a saver, one person's a spender, and that person's gonna have a lot of debt, and you're adding on two incomes, but you're also adding somebody else's debt. And so that can be something different. But because again, we were in different seasons of life than what you'll be when you get married, it will be different for you. But I don't, as far as like I mean, I was single for 2.5 years, but I was a mom, so it really wasn't. Was it even that? It wasn't even that. I wasn't. Anyway, we'll leave that for another time. Steven, in your face.
All right. Well, that is really cool. So once you're married, you got to focus on teamwork. You got to focus on communication.
There's, if you can do that, and so Jesus, teamwork, communication,
Communication.
great.
Use the I language.
I like.
Yeah,
I feel
I
this
was
way.
hurt. Don't say you hurt me. You're accusing the other person and blaming them that this is their fault. So, Matthew, when you said X, Y, and Z, I was hurt when you said that.
Huh.
You like that? I got more stuff here. I keep it coming.
I do like that. No,
he's
that's
got
great.
his notes.
Yeah, I got my notes
from the book because he's the only one that's
yeah.
prepared.
Okay, here
today.
it is. When using the word "you" in accusations, you are defending yourself and blaming the other party. Boom.
It is true. Scumbag. You scumbag. Just kidding.
I love it.
I feel like
I love the
you
fact
are
that
a scumbag.
Apology. Do
it's
not
great.
say I'm sorry, but
I'm
Yeah.
a
when you add the
scumbag.
but, you cease to apologize.
Scumbag.
You're excusing your apology and blaming the other party. Correct apology. I'm sorry. How can I make this better?
Which Matthew uses that all the time.
Admit, apologize, and
How can I
ask
make
for
this better?
forgiveness.
He took this book to heart.
I did.
I took it to heart. I mean, I highlighted everything. I'm gonna go back and review the highlights like
Yeah, you should you should do a highlight reel.
like quarterly.
Here's a good one.
I don't know. We might touch on this subject again, I'm sure.
Yeah,
maybe.
when you're in the dating, when you're in a different, it's like a good refresher when you're in the different stages.
It is.
You're single right now. When you're dating, do you
is.
go back and read the dating portion?
I can't even really qualify for the dating perspective. I mean, I practically been single my whole life, so it's very good to like think about, learn from, prepare for. It's cool.
Yeah, you're always thinking about the other person's wants and needs instead of your own.
Yeah.
I want to go do this, but knowing, well, that person doesn't really enjoy that. I'm like, we can go do this instead. Like when you're not really a football fan, but you know that your husband is. And you're like, I love him so much that I'm going to wear Tennessee orange and go to all the football games. That's true love.
True love. It's great.
Fabulous.
Lovely.
Marvelous.
Lovely.
Getting out of breath saying that word.
Marvelous.
Nope.
I thought he was going to burp. Got any more in there?
Huh?
You got any more? You got another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
I do.
What is it? Assistant Steven.
What else you got, Steve-O?
Silicone Steve.
Silicone Steve. Hey, I think I need to stop. I actually thought about that joke. I think I might need to like refrain from using that. Like it's a little.
Can it sound inappropriate?
Yeah, it can be taken the wrong way.
Oh.
I said it in a group of people at Icon. They kind of looked at me like, "Oh."
Well, we get what it means.
Yeah, but
you fill in the cracks of our workflow.
Anyway, we might as well just move on. But this is a faith-based podcast.
It's based on faith.
So I wrote this question down and it talks about some of your challenges, but we kind of went over that. I am very happy with what we have so far. Is there anything that maybe you have a question for myself, or is there anything that you might want to talk about or touch on or re-explain, or because not only is this like practice for myself with video and audio and stuff like that in film, but like I'm trying to get like I wanted you guys to speak into my life into a single young man's life and kind of what your thoughts are on this season, because I'm a very curious individual, and it's really good for me to like be thinking this way. And you guys are like mentors and examples of people that I seek counsel from and advice. So is there anything that in that realm of discussion that you would like to touch on? Or like I said, you can.
I think there's always room for improvement, and you're 21, 22?
He just turned 22.
Okay,
I just turned 23.
A
He
22-year-old
turned 23,
man
but we're going to
the
pretend he's
Jordan
22.
the Jordan year.
The Jordan year, 23.
Okay, you have a lot of room for improvement at 23 years old. God can sculpt you and mold you into.
He means it in a good thing, not like a.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I took it as a dig, but that's okay.
He's not saying it as a dig.
So.
No, I'm kidding. I know what you mean.
Okay, so you've been hanging around. You've been here at the church for a couple of years, and how
long has it been, Stephen, since you've been down?
I have been associated with Calvary Chapel since August of 2021, so about 2 years.
Okay. So, I would just be praying for God to change more about you. Ask the Lord to show you what's more that I can improve on in my waiting, in my singleness, in my.
That's not a fun prayer, but I'll do it.
You know it's going to happen.
It's not a fun
prayer. He's
going
to show you.
He's going to show you.
It hurts.
It's like praying for patience, and you get tested. Like not tested,
will not regret
but
it.
Right.
You will not regret that.
But, with that will prepare you. If your heart is like, hey, one day I do want to be married, then that will set you up, and it will make it can either go really, really hard in the beginning of a relationship and marriage, or it can be really simple. We had the blessing of it being very organic. It had, just kind of happening. I would also say that, the best thing for my heart from Matthew was that he was 100% honest, even if it was things that he thought that would push me away or that it would scare me. So, he did it in the appropriate way. He wasn't just like, here, let me word vomit on you. He was at the right setting, and he made sure to tell me everything. But because of that faithfulness, there has been no surprises in our relationship. If he hadn't been that way and there were surprises, I would be guessing this man's character and guessing, is there more? Is there more? Is there more? So for you, when you're in that relationship, making sure that there's nothing that needs to be hidden. Like all things, God has redeemed you. All things have been redeemed. So being able to be honest about those things with whoever that is, and then taking off any expectation of timeline. Yes, I know that you're a task person, you're a check the box person.
You don't know anything about me.
Okay. And I'm just going to pretend. And, just because you hit this, and this boxes and you're able to check them off, there's always work. Like he was saying, there's always something that we're never going to be perfect people, and neither is that person. And so being able to not just handle your own flaws and your own quirks and your own things, like you're also going to have to do that of somebody else. And so, being just open about all those things.
All right. I will be praying for.
I'll make sure to critique you.
Okay.
So that I can help the Lord, help you, help us, help you.
I love it. I'll take it. I need it. Yeah, I'll be praying for that 100%.
So in this, I'm glad that you answered the question that, in 6 months you aren't able to do that. But is there somebody or something, not something, because that would be weird, somebody that you're just observing and that, you're praying about? You don't give names. Don't give who, just a yes or no.
Let's think here. Let me just shuffle around the draft picks. I shouldn't say that, should I?
Yeah, you had some time under your belt that you're going to need to do with that answer.
No, I I'm very attracted to
Me?
That's weird.
I'm married, Steven.
well,
I'm just kidding.
anyhow.
It's good though, right?
That was good.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was funny.
You know, it's a good one.
Keep going, Steven.
I'm so my attraction is it used to be something that's not holy, right? It was very, just not good. But I'm slowly learning, and I'm finding it attractive, serving the Lord, serving the church, volunteering. I find that to be very cool,
Mhm.
and you guys are both examples of that. So I do have my eyes on the volunteers, here at the church.
Volunteers.
Not just in all aspects.
Yeah, that's good.
Kids, production,
Not kids. You're not having your eyes on the kids. You're having your eyes on volunteers.
Yeah,
of the kids.
the phrase when we say kids, I'm
mean ministry.
saying kids ministry
Yes.
volunteers.
Mhm.
There's a group of women in in a season where they're getting back on the right track, and I find that humility and that I find that to be very attractive. Not anyone in specific, but
Yeah, just
the way of life that they are going after.
yes.
I find that to be very attractive. There's nobody in particular,
Mhm.
but
That's good.
like you said, I have been praying a little bit, like, God, I don't know when the right time is, but prepare my heart for a relationship, prepare whoever's heart I ask out, prepare their heart,
Mhm.
for chaos.
Yeah. For an OCD person.
But yeah, does that answer your question a little bit?
I also I think
I'm also very picky. So there's
Me
that,
too.
which
I got this one though.
yep.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, like, I have a really unhealthy habit of, like, one day it's like, oh, like, yeah. And then the next day it's like, I changed my mind. The camera cut, but what I was saying was I need to improve. I enjoy being single.
Good.
I'm really trying to do this podcast thing, consistently. I'm trying to get better at photography. I'm learning instruments again. I want to that itch to do music. I'm chipping away at that, and so I'm really focused on my hobbies and my job. I just got a new car. I'm focused on budgeting so I can keep up with that. And but yeah, with all the stuff we talked about, it's clear that it's not the right time, but applying what we talked about soon, we say soon, but it could be 2 years, 4 years, 8, you never know.
And in the beginning you talked about that triangle of like you're doing this and this person's doing this and you're what did you say?
I said graph and equilibrium.
Yeah. So, there's
or intersect.
to keep your eyes on another person that is also doing those things, not just, oh, there's a cool person out at the restaurant that's not doing, like, I don't know if that person you end up seeing at Calvary or doing whatever. Not that Calvary's the only place to meet somebody, but if you want somebody that's running right and doing what's right, you want to make sure they go to church life.
That's another thing that's really hard for me to accept is, like, you talk about it being a pool, right? It's kind of a funny analogy, but
Right.
I really struggle with the idea of being reserved to that. And so
our church isn't the only church.
I know, but I really need to, I'm doing something wrong if I'm looking elsewhere, kind of.
I wouldn't say wrong, but I think that
like 70-30%, I'm doing
Ah.
something wrong.
I think that you don't want to, especially not right now. You don't want to go and like you're not looking to search out something or someone. And if
Kinda.
no, you're not, because if you're not ready to do the 6 months, then you're not really ready to search somebody out.
Well, it's one of those things where the search is still going on, right? I still have my eyes open. I'm still like, maybe, it's not the right time, but,
It's okay to like
I mean,
how Matthew observed. Like it wasn't the
yeah,
right time when he first met me,
yeah,
but observing and praying and outside of your normal circle, that is fine. But then it would be like, if this is the person, would there be drops of that you would see Jesus in that person? Because you don't want to pursue somebody like things about them, but if there's no Jesus, it's not going to work.
yeah, yes.
And you can fall in love with anybody. Honestly, you could fall in love with anybody.
It does say in that book too, like when you meet the person, you should want to get on your knees and praise Jesus because of the way that they are an
Right.
example of Jesus. You should want to worship Jesus because there's this person in your life.
That's a great reminder.
It is.
That's what I have with Matthew. He's a good man, aren't you? He's a good man.
Well, we got time for maybe one more question if you want.
Great.
But
one more question for Steven. Let's think of a good one for Steven.
I mean, we don't have to talk about me too much, but hey.
Let's talk about Steven.
I can tell you a good story.
Oh, that we might be here for a long time.
Tell you a good story about how I injured myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was supposed to ask you about this.
Yeah, so I was playing in a pickup basketball game.
Oh, basketball.
And I went up for a dunk, and I hit my knee on the rim, and I tore my ACL, my MCL, my BBL, my CBS, my NBC, and my DVD, all at the same time.
Your knee was gone.
My knee was gone. So.
Your knee was gone? Where was it?
Yeah.
Where'd it go? What do you mean?
Blew apart.
You've had reconstructive surgery on
No,
your
I was
knee?
just kidding. That was a joke.
I was like, I did not know this.
No, just want to end it on a funny note.
So I can call you One Knee.
And then you can call me Stephanie.
Stephanie. We have walkie-talkies on the weekends, and I labeled her walkie-talkie Steph, and then the word knee.
I just
Steph
want you to know that your podcast efforts are going to go. They're helping people think about themselves and experience some really good moments of our dating and our first time in marriage. This was good to revive those memories. So just when you're with your other podcast, I think this is helping people to relive specific moments when the Lord spoke certain things into people's lives. I think that's it's a good healthy reminisce.
Yes, I have, I can't quite describe it. It is a lot of work, to do this whole thing, but I really enjoy it. It's one of those things where this whole podcast thing, it's almost like it existed before I started it. It's almost like I wouldn't say fan base, but there's people that there's like people that are so interested in it already that it's like they were expecting it or something, which is really weird. Like I'll be seeing somebody random and they've got a million things going on, but then they stop, give me undivided attention. Hey, I really enjoyed that episode. Mm-hmm. And then they'll, hey, I'm looking forward to it. Like it was really good. And then they keep going. But it's little stuff like that, and so it's really encouraging. And, I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it to profit or benefit myself. I really want to, I want to further I want to give musicians a chance to get their music out and collaborate. And
Listen,
I want counselors and people to share their story on the podcast.
Mhm.
This set, there's people that have like, oh, I'd love to start my own podcast. I mean, I would be more than happy to take some time to have them do their own podcast and just see if they like it. This is just, it's practice for myself with video, but I'm just having fun being
Great.
single,
Single and not mingling.
Yeah.
No. Good job, Stephen.
Thank you,
Proud of
Stephen.
you.
Proud of you.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you guys.
Mhm.
I also want to say this. Our first female guest, Stephanie Askew. It is a pleasure to have you both on here.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Very good insight.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
That's it. We're good.
What do you want? You want to talk more? You only have a couple more minutes on this card.
I know.
Mhm.
What's that from?
That's just me.
Weirdo.
It's not from anything.
Weirdo.
Can you give a really weird noise?
It's pretty good, right?
Has anybody ever farted on your podcast?
I'm sure they have. Yeah.
I'm disappointed that I didn't muster up a good fart this time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. We're gonna go get a.
Is that it? We're gonna end on that.
What are we gonna do? Get a bite to eat, maybe?
Yeah. Stephen really likes his Mexican.
You want to ride in my new car?
I can't, man. I have to FaceTime someone special at 7:30.
That's excellent. All right.
Mhm.
Well, thank you guys for all your support. More episodes to
sweet.
come.
Thanks
Cut.
again.
Thanks
Cut.
again.
Cut.
Cut uncut.